Hello, thank you, Goddess, for letting me read your toes in this Astro Toe reading. So, in an Astro Toe reading, what we do is I look at your chart, which is the map of your life. And then we look at your toes, which tell us where you are on that map. And so, what the toes can tell us is what's happened now and in the past. And then from that, you can divinate the trajectory so that you can see something in the future. But what the power of the toe reading really is where are you right now on this map? So what we're going to do is look at each one of your toes, because each one of your toes has a specific energy, an area of life that's associated with it. So on your left foot, this is your internal self. This is the way that you communicate and take action for yourself. This is you and your connection with source. And then on the right foot, this is external. So this is how you relate to others, how you move through the world, and how other people experience you. And then this is your spirit path toe and your life path toe. The other toes have the same meaning and energy. It's just is it internal or external, and that's communication and expression, action. Fourth toe is relationships, and little toe is trust and prosperity. So looking at these toes, there's no good or bad toes. It's simply information, and we'll look to contrast so that we have a baseline, but we're not comparing. And the idea is I'm going to recommend in this to do some manual techniques to help shift the energy. This is not about the toes or the aesthetic of the toes. This is only about shifting the energy, and then we can read that energy shift in the toes. If you were to take a picture of your toes in 4 weeks, you're going to see that there's some shifts that happen, even if you don't do any of the things that I tell you and invite you to do in this reading. And if you do these things, you're going to notice massive shifts. So when I see your toes, the first message that I get is on these first toes, because when we look at the other toes, there's some differences when we contrast them, but the biggest difference is in these first toes. So let's talk about your spirit path toe first. So this spirit path toe, it comes up, it's relatively straight, and then you've got a little bit of a bend over. So seeking, wondering, it's time for you to shift where you've been on your spiritual path and just tweak it a little bit. The nail is generally straight. There is a little bit of a leaning, and you're looking to the future. So what this indicates is that where you are now is requires a shift. It's not working for you like it used to. And so requiring a shift to get in alignment and on path. So what I would recommend for this is just gently stabilizing right here. We're just inviting the energy. We're not forcing the energy. Stabilizing with your fingers here and taking your other fingers and just gently pushing here in the center line, and just asking the energy to align in that way. As you do that, there might be some things that come up, some intuitive hits, because what you're doing is you are stirring up that energy. And so really be cognizant of what is that toe saying to you. As you move it, what energy is it shifting that is bringing new awareness to you? And as you do that, I want you to just imagine from this photo, when you look, if this toe was moving straight up, it would open up this space right here. This is your channel of intuition. So by aligning the energy in your spirit path, just to a little bit more of an aligned place, you're going to open up your intuition. And you're already super intuitive. This is going to open it up even more. Now, when we contrast that to the right toe, this is your life path toe. Girl, it's time for you to change your life path. Okay, you've been doing what you've been doing for a long time, and it's time to shift that. There's also a generational pattern here, staying in things longer than is not just necessary, but what was once soul fulfilling becomes soul killing. Staying in things for too long not feeling like you can move or change and having to stay in one thing because that's what you decided to do, or because other people are expecting you to do that and change is uncomfortable for other people. So there's some generational stuff in here for you to change also. And the beautiful thing is that heals it from the past and heals it in the future. So heals past generations, heals future generations. So what I would highly recommend is gently pushing in right here on this protrusion from this toe, and then gently pushing out here. So same thing, except that as you're rubbing, you're going to rub down here. So rubbing down while pushing up. This one's going to take a little bit more because there's quite a bit we want to shift in this, and just focusing on what is my life, what is my life path now? What do I need to release and what do I need to receive? Okay, and just moving in that direction. So if you're looking at my fingers, this is what intuitively my hands are doing. So this hand coming up through here, this hand rubbing down. And I would use some essential oils with this. I would use clary sage mixed in with a carrier oil of your choice. Jojoba or almond is what I'm feeling. So just gently moving the energy in that way. And again, be on the lookout. What is coming up for you in your life path when you do that? And when we had our astrology reading together, you were expressing that now is the time to release the business and to step into something else. This is going to really help, because when we look at your chart, this spiritual teacher was the archetype, or what we came up with for that, the spiritual teacher. You definitely, in this spirit path toe, you've got that, just a little bit more alignment in here. Is going to be very much shifting up that energy. And imagine if this toe was tracking a little bit more upward. First of all, your communication and your action would be in alignment with it. And this is your channel of leadership. So opening up that channel of leadership in a new way, the spiritual teacher. Okay, let's look at your second toes. These are your communication and expression toes. And communication and expression are important to you. These toes are as long as the first toes. So this is a high value for you. Communication and expression is high value for you. So in what ways are you going to communicate and express yourself? These are very healthy toes. There is a little bit of blocked energy in them, but there's nothing that's unusual or alarming. I think that these are actually very, very healthy toes. So when you're rubbing these toes, just a little bit of rub on the other toes is going to just be beneficial, but certainly not a lot here. You are expressing, you are communicating in an aligned way. And the number one thing, if you're going to work with these toes manually, would just be to get the bottom of the toe and just kind of bend it up. So it's kind of like just bending that first knuckle up. There's a little bit of blocked energy in that first knuckle. So just bending that up a little bit could be beneficial for these communication and expression toes. And understanding, how do you want to communicate and to express? When we look over in your chart and we see Mercury here in Sagittarius, and I know that sometimes you feel like you just can't get the words around it. So what is your way of communicating? It certainly could be words, it could be expressing, perhaps it's in writing or in art or in some other kind of communication medium. And you are definitely meant to do that. That is part of your soul here. Now, you've got a high connection point between your second and your third toes. So your third toes are your action toes. You are a person of action. Just look, these three toes are all the same length. You are an action taker. And so continuing to do that, taking action is important. When we look at your Mars, it's over here, it's in your first house. It's part of your identity to take action. Now, when we look here, you're looking a little bit to the future. You can see that those toes are slightly turned towards the future. especially when it comes to yourself. Like you're taking action in your here and now, in your business, in your life path. But what does it look like to do that for you in the future? This is making consistent, conscious choices to choose you. At this point in your life, you are your biggest priority. So what I would recommend, gently massage these toes to release any blocked energy, and then get this top one and just gently twist it. Just gently twist it so it is lining up a little bit more like you see this toe, this communication toe, where it's just down, it's flat, and it's straightforward. Just doing that. And that's also going to help you know what are your next actions to take for you. Follow through on your commitments to yourself. You've got this separation here between these toes. And for you, you need to walk your walk and talk your talk. That is an important part. And that doesn't mean, you're not the kind of a person that says one thing and then does another, especially if it's with somebody outside of you. But sometimes you don't keep your commitments to yourself. So releasing the expectations of what that action has to look like and embracing that you're going to follow through on actions to yourself. So in our reading, in your astrology reading, we talked about making a commitment to 15 minutes a day of learning, which is important to you. It doesn't matter what you learn. It doesn't matter what course you finish or don't finish. It doesn't really matter what the style of learning is, whether it's listening, doing, or reading, or anything like that. It's just about taking that conscious action for yourself. Even pulling these two toes together, so drawing this toe into this toe, and that's the action. You don't want to move this toe this way. You want to move this toe this way, and closing that gap so that you are fulfilling more of the commitments to yourself. In your relationships, how do you feel about your relationships? Your relationship toes, there's some blocked energy, but these are relationship toes, besides just some normal blocked energy, which happens for almost everyone. These toes, they have a nice nail on them. They're pointing forward. So just as you massage these toes, it's going to just help you see anything that just needs to be released in that. When we look at Venus in the 8th house in Capricorn, you are here to change some relationships and to fight for relationships. What relationships are you open to fighting for? You've got both the goddess Pallas Athene and Venus right here at the 29th karmic degree of Capricorn. And then out in the sky, you've got Pluto that's been sitting right on top of this for a few years and will continue to sit there for a few more years before it moves on, and asking you to distill, to alchemize, and to transform relationships, connection. And this is really the fighting for energy. So what relationships are you going to fight for? And I invite you that be fighting for relationship with self. Interestingly, I'm feeling a little bit of stuff down in my sacral chakra, which is yours for this reading. And so in addition to gently rubbing those toes, I would recommend just gently massaging your sacral chakra area, which is right around your navel, just a couple of inches below your navel. It's in your womb space. And so just gently massaging that. There's some creative, I think that this is a discussion that we can have in person. But are there relationships with your children of your body, children of your mind, or did you lose any babies or terminate any pregnancies? There's something about this sacral chakra and this womb space. Let's alchemize those relationships as well. There's something there. Now let's talk about your trust and prosperity toes. It looks like you may have broken this toe. And this is your trust and prosperity toes. So if you think back to when you may have injured this toe, Was it in a situation where you didn't feel safe, where you felt like you couldn't trust, or had you put your trust in something that it didn't really turn out that great? What has been your relationship with prosperity? What does that look like to you? How do you define prosperity? And so massaging this toe, this also is generational, and it has to do with this protrusion here, this bending over backwards to keep the peace, this people-pleasing behavior. That also has to do with this trust and prosperity. So defining what prosperity means to you, discovering who can you trust and who has not earned the right to your trust. And I'm curious about this scar here. Let's talk about this scar when we meet together, because I'm curious about what this scar means. And there is some blocked energy in here that I'm clearing out right now, clearing out the blocked energy around this scar that's coming here between your communication and your action toe. And then massaging this toe. This toe has some things to tell you, and that's what's coming to me right now. This toe is going to talk to you. If you can, massage this toe while massaging this hair and just see what happens here. So my hands are moving in this direction. So just this back and forth massaging and tying together these two energies of these toes. All right, what else? Trusting yourself to keep your commitments and working through this past life, bloodline, and lifetime pattern that we have going on here, and working on that sacral chakra. Those are the big messages from this reading, and I'm really looking forward to talking to you more about this. Thank you.